what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Hey guys, this is Mary Margaret from the Chick Chat podcast. Are you interested in promoting your business to an online audience? Your advertisement could be right here on The Mesh Podcast Network. Head over to themesh.tv for more details.
Welcome back to My Dad Watches The Bachelor. I'm Meredith, and I'm here with my co-host, my dad.
Hello, Meredith. Good to be with you today.
So, Dad, we made it. We have officially watched all of Peter Weber's season. The finale this week was epic. I have so many thoughts. My brain is just so full. So many opinions. I'm very excited for us to get into this.
Well, and we're taping this after watching 2 nights of the finale, so we have 4
hours to go through. So my notes are just wild. My thoughts from Monday have changed after watching Tuesday. I don't even know what to think anymore.
Well, I represent all of the, we've got a lot of dads that are watching the show now that have got involved through our podcast. And, both Uncle Dave and Uncle Craig were texting me last night. And Uncle Dave sent me, really the question that we must determine, the most important question, which he sent me a funny tweet. If you were to board a flight tomorrow, would your primary concern be A, the coronavirus, or B, the fact that an individual with Peter Weber's decision-making ability could be operating the aircraft? Which would it be? Which is more concerning?
B.
I think you're right.
Peter Weber.
Anyway, that's Peter. So give me, are there highlights? I don't even know how we break this mess down. How do you want to start?
I don't either. I have lots of things written down, and let's see what I put first. I thought a high. Maddie meeting Peter's parents for the second time wasn't necessarily a high for me, but a high was that Maddie did a good job of sticking up for herself and her beliefs to Peter's mom. So I was proud of her for that. And I think that was the beginning of Peter's mom really attacking Maddie. And I think that throughout Monday and Tuesday night, Maddie handled herself very well with Barb's attacks.
Well, I agree. I wrote down, I guess my highlight was, I wrote down, Peter's family is nuts. And not only the mom, I thought, Brother Jack, he seemed to be shocked that Peter could just be with one person and only have sex with one person. And
I don't think that's what he was shocked about. He was shocked that Peter wanted to be with someone that he couldn't have sex with until he was married because he knows his brother, which I think was fair.
Well, he seemed, from the brother and then Madison explaining to the mom that here was the issue. Your son's about to propose to me, but he's having sexy time with all these other ladies right before, and I just have a problem with that. And the mom is going, you can't change my son. Peter likes to party. If he wants to sleep with other women, I love him anyway. And I just the family and the mom just a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't feel like Barb really wanted her son to grow, which I think, as I'm not a mom, but I imagine my mom and most moms would probably want their children to grow and maybe, grow out of that party phase. But Barb is really like, keep him there. That's where he's good. That's where I want him. But can we also talk about the fact about how openly Peter and Maddie are talking about their sex lives or lack thereof with Peter's family? If I was going in to meet my boyfriend's parents for the second time and we started talking about our sex lives, I would die. That's so weird.
Yeah, I guess I attribute that to being on this ridiculous show and
No, that's not normally what these people talk about with their families on this show.
Well, and we found out last night that part of the reason that Peter's mom was aggravated seemed to be the fact that she had to wait for several hours while I guess they were hashing stuff out before Madison even came in to meet the family, and maybe between jet lag and whatnot, that aggravated her too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to blame those several hours of waiting solely on Maddie. I mean, they have a lot of production stuff going on too, so that could have been it, but Peter's mom seemed very anti-Maddie, and I'm like, we can get into the Tuesday nights, but that I was shocked at how openly pro-Hannah Ann, anti-Maddie Barb was.
Yeah, and even on the second night when everything was sort of on the table, she was still pretty stubborn in her position, and you think that maybe she would at least back off a little bit and say, we had some issues some concerns when we first met Madison, but we look forward to hopefully getting to know her and getting comfortable. But I didn't feel that vibe coming from her. It was more like this is headed for disaster, and I think the dad said sometimes you have to fail first, and just sort of seemed to be saying you two are doomed and not very smart.
Yeah, if I were in Peter's situation and you and Mom were talking so much smack on national television about me and the person I was dating, I'd be so pissed at you guys. Like, that is a closed door conversation that needs to be happening off camera between Peter and his parents. Like, Barb does not need to be throwing him under the bus, throwing Maddie under the bus for all of the U.S. to see. Like, that was just not a very mature way to handle it. And also, I've seen tweets that when Chris Harrison asked Peter's dad like what his thoughts were on the whole Peter-Maddie situation, and we see Barb like lean over to him and say something in, I think, Spanish, people are translating that to say, like, you need to say something bad too so I don't look as bad.
Well, I think the dad was in a difficult position because he probably wants to support his son, but he also has to go home with his wife, and he's walking a fine line there. Yeah,
I just think if I were a mom, like, and if it's between someone like Hannah Ann and Maddie for my son, and Hannah Ann is telling Peter during Fantasy Suite Week, like, do what you got to do, like, go have sex with everyone, I'll be here. And Maddie's like, hey, if you have sex with people, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to like that. Like, I think it's pretty obvious who the more normal person that I would want my son to be with is. But Barb is, like, completely on a different side of view than I am. Like, I don't understand it. Well,
I can say that as a dad, as a parent, ultimately we want you and your brother to be happy. And, as long as you're not bringing in some guy on heroin or a girl on heroin that is stoned out of their mind and a criminal, we're gonna do our best to be supportive. We might have certain concerns or issues, but I can promise you we won't bring it up on national television.
Well, you guys even do a good job of waiting to bring it up until after that relationship has ended. You don't even tell me about red flags during it. You let me figure it out for myself, and I don't think Barb and Pete Sr. are very interested in that parenting approach.
Maybe your mom and I are just bad parents. Who knows? But anyway, what else is on your list?
Well, I loved that we got the Barb cam in the bottom corner of our screen throughout the Hannah Ann engagement and the Hannah Ann breakup of the engagement and Maddie coming out. Like, watching her expressions and what she was doing, that was just wild to me. Like, Peter's mom was clapping when Hannah Ann gave Peter the ring back and said she was done. She was clapping. Like, that is not a supportive parent.
I found it pretty weird, and I found the Barb cam hard to watch in that. And I'm not sure they were treating her that fairly by saying, let's just keep the camera on Barb and see what sort of expressions she has. I wonder if she knew the camera was on her the whole time. But
yeah, I'm curious about that as well.
It certainly was telling, and even just as telling when Madison came back out, or when they were showing the clips of Peter and Madison meeting when Peter was expecting Chris Harrison to show up, and she was doing a little bit of eye rolling during the whole rekindling with Madison situation too. So it was certainly telling, and felt like they were going out to create a new supervillain.
Yeah, Barb really stole the show. I think I saw a lot of tweets last night that we never really had a true villain in this season because they were just setting Barb up for it for this finale, and she really stole the show. But moving on from her into my best friend Hannah Brown, unfortunately, she was not seen in the finale. However, Hannah Ann did spill a little tea saying that their engagement included multiple women, including Peter needing to get closure with Hannah Brown when he got back from filming. I caught that. I had to rewind to make sure I caught that because I heard Hannah Brown and my ears perked up. But isn't that I can't believe that Peter Weber is still trying to reach out to my girl Hannah. I bet that I don't feel like their love story is done, Peter and Hannah's.
Well, I think that Peter probably came off much better during the Bachelorette season when he was not playing the lead role, and I just wonder why Peter doesn't come off worse through this whole thing. I mean, I don't think he comes off well, but he doesn't seem to come off as poorly as Juan Pablo or Ari or some of the bachelors that seem to go down in history as really awful bachelors. So I think that Peter was really not particularly good at this role, and I think we could come up with some drinking games of whenever Peter talks about his heart and how full his heart is. If we took a drink, we would have been way gone pretty quickly during each episode. He's always talking about how his heart feels and blah 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 blah. And I don't know. To me, he just seems like one of the most boring people I've ever met, and goodness help whoever ends up with him. It just doesn't sound like a great deal to me.
Well, yeah, because you're going to get Barb as an in-law. That's a big red flag to me. But going back to what you're saying, I think that Peter didn't come off looking that bad because his breakup with Hannah Ann was it was very obvious to the viewer that was coming because we knew that we still had some Maddie stuff to get through, and the engagement happened so quickly on the Tuesday night episode. But also, I think that it's also because Hannah Ann handled it so well, and this was one of my right reasons. I mean, we're kind of throwing our system out the window today, but my right reasons that I put was that Hannah Ann was a queen that we don't deserve. She handled the situation so maturely, even though she's only 23 years old. I would not have handled it that way. She was very graceful and spoke very eloquently. Her words really resonated with me. And I think it made her look a lot better that she took the high road and she wasn't just she was talking shit about Peter, but she did it in a way that really extra put the nail in the coffin. You aren't going to be with a real woman until you become a real man, and all of this stuff, and how much his words impact people. So I aspire to be on Hannah Ann's level during a breakup. That is a new goal of mine, to not to have a breakup, but if I am to have one in the future, to be on the Hannah Ann level during it.
Well, I sort of in thinking about the breakup, I sort of characterized it as if you're on this show, it's like being in some sort of battle with all these people, whether they're actually battling. But I mean, it's a competition, and Hannah Ann got to the end of the competition, got the ring, and you're focused on this competition. She wins. She's been incredibly agreeable throughout this whole process, and that she's trying to win the competition. And then she and Peter don't see each other for a month, and to me, it's sort of the fog of war dissipates, and all of a sudden she can think a little bit more clearly, and she's probably realizing that, this guy's sort of been a jerk through this process where we're supposed to be incredibly in love, and he still seems like a sad sack that has feelings for these other people, and this isn't really what it's supposed to be like. And if I go back to him and he's still like that, I gotta pull the plug on him. And it reminded me of the way that Elizabeth Warren worked over Mike Bloomberg in the Democratic debate, the way that she took him apart, because she just carved him up, and it was deserved, and he was like a punching bag, just taking it the whole time. And I enjoyed when she got in the car and he was trying to babble some more Peter babble, and she just gives him the hand. I thought that was good for her. I
like, get out of here. I'm so done with you.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that as well. And it made me think, how come she's not the Bachelorette?
That's fair. She definitely got a Bachelorette vibe last night. And I after last night, I think I would have been okay with a Hannah Ann Bachelorette season. Like, she deserved it. But
maybe she will be at some point in time.
I've heard that she's been hanging out with some new NFL quarterback in Tennessee, so I think that she's going to be all right.
Okay, well, good for her.
Don't ask me the name. I don't know.
Well, I'm betting Marcus Mariota, because I think the other quarterback there's got
not that one.
Okay.
It's a new guy.
A new guy. All right. Well, we'll wait till our NFL preview show to go through that one. But for a low light, I wanted to throw this at you. What in the wide world of sports is Chris Harrison doing? Because I thought his fingerprints were all over this one with the way that he was meddling and manipulating. On the engagement day, he goes out to Peter and says, "Oh, by the way, Hannah Ann might not be coming." And
this is my wrong reason here. Okay,
well, I put it as a low light. It can be a wrong reason, but Chris Harrison, I think you're being a dick. He basically throws Peter into a whole uproar after Peter pretty much talked himself into, I was here to get engaged. There's only one girl left, and she seems to really like me, so I guess I'll go with this one. He's a quick guy, this Peter guy. So, then Chris has to throw that out there.
To hold his horses.
What's that?
Calm down, wait 10 minutes, and then see if Hannah Ann's going to come. Don't just blurt it out to Peter. "Oh, sorry, dude. Not sure she's coming anymore." And then what the heck? Then
once he about passes out and is getting medical attention, she's coming. Don't worry, she's coming. So, and then I thought
Chris Harrison was probably worried there wasn't enough drama going to be in the finale, so he was like, "Got to stir it up a little."
Well, then when Chris went and visited Maddie, I thought he misrepresented a few things to Maddie as well, in that he said Peter broke up with Hannah Ann. No, Hannah Ann basically chopped off Peter's head and broke up with him. It's not like Peter was sitting around saying, "I got to break up with you because I'm still in love with Maddie." And that bothered me. And then when he was talking to Maddie, he made it sound like the reason he broke up is because of you, and Peter said that was part of it. But he didn't say, "Oh, I'm just here pining over Maddie." So I thought Chris Harrison's evil fingerprints were involved in this one as well.
Yeah, I have a theory about Chris Harrison heading to Auburn. I think that this was part of the "we need to save Peter's image" plan, and that if Peter's the one to go to Auburn to win Maddie back, it makes him look a little worse, and I really did break up with Hannah Ann just for Maddie. Like, they were trying to save face there and be like, "Maddie, you need to come to Peter because we don't want Peter to look super awful coming back to you." So that's what I thought. That's why Chris Harrison went to Auburn. I do not believe that Peter had no idea this was happening. I feel like he probably knew what was in the works there. He just didn't know when exactly he was going to get to see Maddie, but he's like, "Yeah, I know that they're seeing where she's at."
Well, I was disappointed that he didn't get to go to Auburn and get to chat a bit with Maddie's father and the basketball team and get his butt kicked. But that was my hope throughout the thing. So, and obviously, the way things are left is, perhaps Maddie and Peter will see each other. Who knows? I don't believe that they left as an engaged couple, but I can only imagine how much fun bringing those two families together would be.
Yeah, I don't even know if Peter and Maddie are dating at this point. I literally have no idea where that left off, but I would love for ABC to film like an Easter dinner with the Webbers and the Pruitts, because that would just be hilarious.
Well, I mean, goodness knows they're extending the Bachelor franchise into 20 million other ways. Why not do the Bachelor families meet? It would be sort of King Kong meets Godzilla situation here.
So speaking of our picks, I'm going to bring up our picks because I'd like to toot my own horn here. Back when we made our final 4 picks and none of yours made it, and I had one of mine make it. And I think that technically I win because I think Maddie kind of won this season since she's the one with Peter now. So I'm very proud of myself. And I think you need to do better next time to give me some competition. Well,
this, kudos to you, but you're the person that watches these shows on a regular basis, and I don't watch it as much as you. To me, it's sort of like the University of Alabama beating up on a crappy SEC team in football or something. So congratulations. Feel good about yourself.
I will. I feel great. Speaking of next time, we are officially going to be back for Claire Crawley's season of The Bachelorette. We are very excited. At least I am. I don't know how you're feeling after making it through an entire season of The Bachelor, but you're going to get like 2 months off before we get right back into it.
I'm looking forward to taking some time off and as we think about it, before we wind things down, was there an MVP of this episode? Was it Hannah Ann? Was it Madison? Are they co-MVPs or who's the MVP?
Well, as of Tuesday night's episode, it was Maddie because she, was standing up for what she knew was right, even though it's hard and was going to hurt, blah, blah, blah. But now I feel like it's Hannah Ann because she just handled the breakup with such grace. But I also want to give it to Maddie because she handled Barb so well. So I'm going to give it to anyone that's not a Weber.
Well, I think it's okay to give out co-MVPs for this episode. So if you want to give it to both of them, I think that would be fine.
Okay, I'll give it to both of them then. They handled themselves very well this past week.
Okay. So do I get to
fatherly advice you would want to wrap us up with to end the season?
My final fatherly advice for the season. So just a couple things. Number one, if you're going to be in the outback, bring bug spray. There's lots of bugs and stuff there, and you really want to bring the off or some sort of powerful bug spray because it looks like that's going to be an issue out there. So,
I agree.
So bring your bug spray. Number two, young people out there, trust your heart. Don't listen to your meddling parents. If you're going to get married, if you're going to have a serious relationship with them, I mean, it needs to fit into your family situation, but ultimately it's your relationship. So put a little space between that and your meddling parents, and don't let your insane mother on the reality TV show. She was just so much over the top. So I would definitely keep those folks off. And my final thing is, just, dads out there will do some crazy things to keep in touch with their daughters. So it's been a pleasure having a chance to do this with you and be able to chat with you on a weekly basis, although we chat more than that. But dads will do crazy things just to keep up with their daughters.
I know. So crazy that we're just going to do it again in a few months. I'm very excited. Well, I even saw that Claire's Men have started to get released on abc.com. So check it out. I'm very excited. We're going to do our Final Four rankings again for next season. So you might want to get started since you were so bad at it, give you a head start on these decisions.
I'm not sure that putting in more time on that is going to make my picks any better than that. But we would be remiss if we didn't thank our friends at the MDWTB. And as we said, we'll be back doing more Dad and Meredith watching The Bachelorette in May. So if that is something that you're interested in reaching a big audience, you'd be contacting the people at themesh.tv, and you should also be checking out all the cool podcasts that they do on themesh.tv. And I also want to give a great shout out to our social media person who had such fun content that we went through this whole thing. She did a great job.
Yeah, check out our Instagram. My Dad Watches The Bachelor. We've got some very funny things that are getting posted. We might even try and keep up with it on the off season. We'll see how things go. See what Emma's interested in. So with that, we want to thank you for joining us for Peter's season of The Bachelor, and we are very excited to go into Claire's in a few months. So with that, this has been Peter's season of The Bachelor from the right perspective and my dad's.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.